Yeah, whatever. It's time to die. Even if you had to wait here 1,000 years for it. All this time you waited to fight for this place. Hope it was worth it.
What more do you need to say than Technomancer? From the very moment the open beta went live, Techno has been the undisputed champion for class types in Outriders, and it's not just the sheer damage output capabilities, as Techno does mix in a strong dose of utility, crowd control, and sustain. It really feels like the devs started off with Techno, crammed all the most desirable attributes into this one class, and then designed a game around that class concept. With the launch of Worldslayer, Techno is still the undisputed heavyweight champion of the galaxy, but now we've got new shiny toys to tinker with, and Techno got one of the strongest new legendary sets in the game. What's going on, everybody? It's LtBuzzLitebeer, and first, I wanted to apologize for the delay on getting you this build guide, but, you know, with the introduction of Apocalypse tier gear, Outriders has become a game that is exceedingly difficult to land those perfect gear pieces to showcase in a build. I feel like I've finally got this into a good spot to post this video, so here it is. Please remember to smash that sub button, as the channel is just within sight of 100,000 subscribers, and I would appreciate your support. Also, please take a few seconds more to ring the bell to receive all my future upload alerts. Let's go. Alright, if you follow my channel, you know one of the other franchises I cover is The Division, and in that game, one of my favorite build concepts to use is a skill build built and based on a combination of firepower from your weapon that in turn builds and stacks up perks for your skills. Now for Worldslayer, Techno received what has turned out to be my favorite gear set in the game, TECHMONGER. And the gear set description is so tame in comparison to what the set can do. It reads, using turret skills increases turret damage by 10%, bonus to last 10 seconds, and stacks up to 5 times. And if you were new to the game and just read that, you'd probably pass on TECHMONGER, but trust me when I say that would be a huge mistake. So let's first start off with the class tree, and a quick reminder here that baked into Techno is a freeze-inducing melee, the ability to heal based on the damage you inflict, as well as bonus, long-range damage, skill, and weapon leech. So for this TECHMONGER build, we are going to primarily use the center Tech Shaman setup, but we're going to start off at the bottom with Anomaly Fueled for more anomaly power, and then Disturbance Coating for plus 15% resistance piercing. FYI, don't sleep on this perk, and make sure to grab resistance piercing anywhere and everywhere you can find it. Now, back up into the center tree. First, take Anomalous Body for bonus health, which does nothing really for the build, but it does give you a bit more sustain, and you have to take it in order to begin the tree. Second node in is Gadgeteer, which reduces skill cooldowns on gadget skills by 15%. Now, since we are using 2 gadget skills on this build, Cryo Turret and Cold Snap, that 15% cooldown reduction is nice. Next, take Anomalous Body again, and then go directly up to Exposing Toxin, as we will be applying massive amounts of the Toxic Status effect, and this Master Node increases the effects by also applying Vulnerable, and just think of that as a damage multiplier. While we are here, it makes sense to also take Marked for Execution to enhance the vulnerable effects by a further 40%. Now back into the center tree and take Fracture for plus 10% extra damage versus frozen targets, and then another point into Anomalous Body. From here, head straight down to the master node of Wipe Out, which cranks up bonus damage versus severely injured targets. Continue straight down to Anomaly Fueled for more anomaly power, and then spend a point on the Adrenalizing Antenna master node. By activating a DK skill, which we do have in the Blighted Turret, both us and our allies receive a 30% anomaly power increase for 10 seconds. Now your Blighted Turret will cool down much faster than 10 seconds, so just keep spamming it to refresh the bonus AP. Back up into the center tree and take Gadgeteer again for another 15% cooldown reduction on gadget skills. And next is another point into Anomalous Body for more health, and this gets us to Saul's 56 Freezing Tanks for plus 20% longer freeze status effect duration. Keep heading out the tree for Suction Module, which nets us another 5% weapon leech, and then take Armor Plates for 20% bonus armor. Next is the Master Node of Doctor of Medicine for 20% increased healing for you and your squad. Fracture is next up, and this time it adds on another 30% more damage versus targets that are frozen. Spend your final point on the Master Node of Overclock. Now, you don't really need to pay attention to the bottom portion of the description, as the bonus weapon damage and AP by 40% for 10 seconds is why you were here. By deploying a Cryo Turret or Cold Snap, both gadget skills, this bonus applies. Here is the entire tree in case you want to screenshot it for later reference. New to Worldslayer is the PAX tree, of which you have 5 total points to spend here, and TECHMONGER gives you options. Now you can opt for outright damage output, or if you want to assist the squad, you can also spec it out for sustain. And PAX tree nodes are really powerful and can augment your setup with some extreme bonuses. Now for my primary damage setup, I go top tree with Initial Striker, which gives me plus 10% more anomaly power for activating a skill, since my AP is higher than my firepower on the setup, and remember that this bonus is only valid for 5 seconds. Next up is Lethal Devices, and this is a beast master node, as our gadget skills inflict toxic to enemies hit and deal an additional 5% of anomaly power as damage if toxic is refreshed. As our build is pretty much a freeze and toxic status effect factory, expect this node to be proccing 100% of the time. Painkiller gives us a lot of additional healing just for damaging a target, and you know, the description looks pretty plain, but the healing effects are not. Permanence gives us a 100% chance of inflicting another random status effect if we inflict toxic, and just, you know, the jury's still kind of out on this one, as the status effects don't always seem to randomize, but you know, it gets us out to Dissection, which gives us plus 5% bonus damage to enemies for every status effect inflicted on them. Now, if you're wanting to run more of a healing support setup, go bottom tree and take the Undying, Override, Apothecary, Purification Protocol, and finish it up with Lead Seeker. This is especially useful if you have squad mates using anomaly rounds on their builds, as it keeps their ammo topped up as long as they are within 25 meters of your turrets. Ascension Points are new to Worldslayer, and they work very much like Diablo 3's Paragon system. I would always start off with anomaly damage and then move over to status power and anomaly power for this build, and then you can start to max out things like damage to elites, armor pierce, resistance pierce, and then I've also spec'd into weapon damage. It's really your call here, but I would say you need to begin with the 3 Ascension categories I recommended. Onto the gear itself, and let's go right to the weapons. I personally like TAC ARs, so the Inferno Seed works well enough, as it does have crit, status power, and long-range damage. Now, status power is what you want, and I will be on the hunt for an epic piece where I can get the exact right talents along with Armor Pierce. Wrath of Moloch and Violent Rupture do large amounts of single-point damage, as well as some AoE. Mage's Rage is the talent you want for this build, and you want it on whatever weapons you have equipped. Crit shots grant plus 10% AP bonus for 15 seconds, and it stacks up to 4 times. It's just way too much of anomaly power bonus to pass up. I've also got a Death Shield with Mage's Rage and Moaning Winds, mostly for, you know, old time's sake, and my pistols also have Mage's Rage on them as well. Now, the ideal weapon for me would be a TAC AR with Armor Pierce and Status Power, along with Mage's Rage and Fortress, and then maybe something like Omen, Ultimate Storm Whip, or Dimensional Rockets. For the gear, if you wanted to, you could use a 5-piece TECHMONGER setup and still rip through Trials content. But I'm personally using 4 pieces, mainly due to the RNG rolls and talents I received. For the helmet, I've got TECHMONGER with Double Trouble, which comes standard on the mask. I've also added on Twins in the second mod slot, and for my APOC slot, I was lucky enough to get Euthanizer, which actually got a damage bonus nerf from 25 to 16% for Worldslayer. Now, since we want to take advantage of freeze and turret damage, Double Trouble turns our turrets into rampaging animals as it adds on extra barrels to our cryo turrets. Twins also allows us to place 2 turrets instead of 1, and Euthanizer adds on even more damage to targets afflicted by toxic. For this build and setup, I would say these are all necessities, and make sure to have these 3 mods somewhere on your gear. The chest piece is again TECHMONGER, and the attributes of AP, cooldown reduction, and status power really are the holy trinity of what you want on this TECHMONGER setup. I've personally placed Captain Hunter in mod slot 1, as the hazardous modifications mod that comes standard on the chest piece is really not what you want on this build. Increased damage in mod slot 2 is fine for a little extra cryo turret damage output. And then for my APOC slot, I've got Ice Ice Baby, which is a tier 1 cold snap mod. Now, anytime I hit cold snap, this mod adds on a nice chunk of bonus damage to any target caught within the snap effect. Just so you know, the chest piece does give you some flex in your build. I like Captain Hunter for a flat 16% increase in damage versus any elites, and you know, Ice Ice Baby is not a bad mod to have as well. The pants are again TECHMONGER with AP, cooldown reduction, and status power. Now, improved coolant is a must-have, and don't you dare touch it, as it doubles the fire rate of your already double barrel enhanced cryo turrets. Freezing Boost is normally the second mod on this gear, but I needed Icicle Storm, so it had to be sacrificed. This is the mod that sets off chain reactions of kills within your cold snap, and although not a must-have, it is pretty damn close for quick mob clears. My APOC mod rolled as Shatter, so I still do pick up plus 16% damage versus targets afflicted by freeze. My gloves are actually Torrential Downpour gloves with health, skill life leech, and cooldown reduction, as I still haven't been able to loot a decent pair of TECHMONGER gloves, so this is what I had to work with. I really hated not having status power on the gloves as an attribute, so in the future I'm going to be on the hunt for those damn TECHMONGER gloves. Anyways, Anomaly Echo comes standard on the Torrential Downpour gloves, and it gives a huge AP bonus simply for activating a skill. No resistance against a fortified looks kind of odd here, but if you know, you know. This mod converts armor piercing to resistance piercing, and along with a mod later on my boots, we'll convert that further into bonus anomaly power, and I'll explain it all once we hit the boots. Power Assimilation came as the APOC mod and gives this build a large AP bonus for every elite on the battlefield. Now, Anomaly Echo is not a must-have, but it's pretty close. No resistance against a fortified is essential, and it's your call on Power Assimilation. Now, if you're going for boss clears, you might want to consider it. My boots are the 4th and final piece of TECHMONGER, and they are God-rolled with health, skill life leech, and cooldown reduction as the attributes. Now, ideally, I want epic boots with AP and status power, but talk about rare. Now, I've rolled on Arms and Anomaly and mod slot 1, and this is a must-have for this build. Crit shots adding on that much AP is essential for our skills to hit hard, and Arms and Anomaly grants us that bonus AP. Hail Shot looks harmless, but is far from it. Do not touch this mod, as it increases our turret damage based on our status power. Now you see why I wanted status power on the gloves, and will love it here on the boots as well. Unstoppable Force rolled in the APOC slot, and this works in tandem with no resistance against a fortified, and this is kind of how it all works. You try to stack up as much armor pierce on your build as you can, through your Ascension Points, nodes, and even on your weapons. NRATF, no resistance against a fortified, then converts 100% of that armor pierce figure to resistance piercing. Unstoppable Force then takes that resistance piercing figure and gives you 50% of that back as anomaly power. So in the end, you pick up armor piercing, resistance piercing, and bonus AP. And the more armor pierce you can stack, the bigger gains all around. Hopefully this build guide was as thorough as you needed it to be, and if you have any further questions, leave them in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer them. Now unfortunately, the RNG system in Outriders can be punishing, so this build isn't exactly in the form I would like, but you know, the end results work just fine. It will drop anything in this game very quickly, and it can solo any enemy, including the final Arbiter and Trials, in a matter of seconds. Remember to spam your Blighted Turret and Cold Snap for those bonus APs, and then get those cryo turrets out there and just leave them be. They have excellent range, and wasting time redeploying them means less time killing targets. Use your weapons with Mage's Rage and Fortress, if you're lucky, to build up bonus anomaly power, and just keep refreshing your stacks with the weapons as needed. On paper, the TECHMONGER looks quite tame, but in practice, it makes the endgame look easy. Remember to smash that big, beautiful subscribe button and ring the bell to receive all my future upload alerts. If you could take a few seconds more to rate and or share this video, it would be greatly appreciated. Remember to find and follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and of course over on my community Discord server, which by the way has one of the most active and vibrant Outriders communities out there. Just check in the video description for open invites to all my socials, including my Discord. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.